This is the Dery Bros Tribecast, a podcast for diehard Cleveland Indians fans. Presented to you by WaitingForNextYear.com. Now, here are the hosts, Matt and Todd Dery.
Oh, baby. Here we go, everybody. It is another installment of the Dery Bros Tribecast. We've got baseball to be played coming up July 23rd or July 24th. Matt and Todd with you on WaitingForNextYear.com and wherever you get your podcasts. Brought to you by Dr. Ben Hornstein at the Center for Advanced Dentistry. Exciting times as apparently the owners and players have come to some sort of an agreement. It's not really anything long-term, but the agreement is they're going to play 60 games. Todd, for all the hand-wringing we've done, for all the ripping of baseball, it is semi-exciting that next month and about a month from now, we're going to actually be talking about some actual games.
I will believe it when I see teams on July 23rd or 24th actually playing, because they made this big announcement last night and, all that, and it was great. And then 15 minutes later, Charlie Blackmon has tested positive for coronavirus. And today I see the Blue Jays had, in addition to, 5 more people test positive. And the Phillies have 7 people testing positive. So am I excited? Absolutely. I think that there are a lot of things we need to discuss in terms of these 60 games and some of the rule changes. But again, yes, I'm excited, but until I actually see, whoever, Shane Bieber or Mike Clevenger throw that first pitch on opening day, I won't believe it's actually going to happen. Really?
Listen to you. You're like a giant wet noodle right now.
Well, look at what's going on in the country.
Well, yeah, of course.
It's spiking, but it's spiking everywhere. And every team is going to have multiple positive tests. And even if they get through spring training and there isn't one team with a crazy outbreak, and I know that they have rules in place for all this stuff. I mean, what happens when it's midseason and the Indians have a big series coming up with the Twins? And guess what? No Clevenger and no Bieber because they both tested positive. And no J-Ram because he's coming back and hasn't been cleared yet because he's tested positive. And the Twins don't have, Miguel Sano and Josh Donaldson because they tested positive. It's going to be so bizarre and weird because I think that's what it's going to be like all season.
I don't disagree. I think you bring up a very good point, and it's funny. I saw it today, and obviously I live in Michigan, and you're back home in Cleveland, and we're a Cleveland-based podcast, award-winning podcast, by the way, thanks to our friends from
Top 25, baby.
Cleveland.com, or the Plain Dealer. But, Al Avila, the general manager for the Tigers, spoke today, and he said, yeah, we have a chance. We're looking forward to competing for a playoff spot. And you kind of laugh, but then you realize it might end up being whoever stays healthy and gets lucky with the virus comes out on top, which isn't really what sports are about. The best teams are cream's supposed to rise to the top. So you're right. This is going to be a wacky, bizarre situation.
I mean, the Tigers, Al Avila can say what he wants. They don't have enough talent.
No.
They might get hot for a week, but, are they really going to compete? I don't see that happening. But these teams do have a better chance. I mean, we've seen so many teams over the years. Maniac as Indians at one point, and I can't remember which one of the years it was, but they were out in mid-May, end of May in first place before they completely collapsed. And if you think about it, that's basically 60 games. So anything's possible. That's for sure. And I think it's going to be very interesting. And I think that if they do pull this off, it could be really cool because of some of the pitching situations that you're going to see. I think you're going to see a lot of, normally it's, you don't want to, your big horses, you don't want them to throw too many innings. And so you're managing the amount of pitches they're throwing or whatever it might be. During a 60-game schedule, I mean, yeah, these guys have to be built up, and early on it might be, but you're going to see guys, I think, go out and pitch deeper into games. I think you're going to see a lot of teams that don't have starting pitching or a lot of the progressive teams doing piggybacking. I mean, it wouldn't shock me one bit with everybody healthy for the Indians if you see a game where it's Plutko for 3 and please sack for 4 into, you got to lead into Karen check in hand, stuff like that. I think, basically the Tampa Bay model is going to be used by a lot of teams. And I think that's something that's kind of cool.
I just don't know. I'm excited. Yes, we've talked about it in past shows, and we'll get into some of that in a little bit here. Just about what we're actually going to see here, because there are rule changes. The minor league stuff that's going to go on, that they don't want extra innings going long, so they're going to put a runner on second base. We'll get into all that, but the fact that we're sitting here anyway on June 24th and having to discuss the fact that a deal for the long-term health and growth of the game is not there, that, the arguing and bickering that went back and forth, it turned out that basically Manfred had to implement this because they couldn't come to even an agreement for this year. And that's pathetic. And it's on the owners and Rob Manfred, to me, first and foremost, more than anything else, although I don't think Tony Clark and the players did themselves any favors with the when and where routine, and then turn down 2 more offers after that. But you said when and where. It's a bad look on the game. But now, in a wacky, bizarre way, as they're going to be the first ones in here if they start the 23rd or the 24th of July, that first week could be crazy and could get big TV ratings numbers. And people could see Mike Trout, and because they're not going to have anything else to watch until the NBA starts, and who even knows when that will start based on if enough players will go to Orlando, if the bubble will work, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, that listen, there's definitely excitement around that. And they're first, like you said, they're going to be first, so that's very cool. And you will have all the eyeballs for probably a week. The main problem is going to be when the NBA gets into their playoffs. I think that's really going to cut into what baseball had and why baseball should have started July 4th, and these idiots should have gotten their act together on both sides and had that, finished by they all said, we got, if we can figure it out in the first week of June, we can start July 4th, which would have been, perfect. But, being as it may, that didn't happen. And, Manfred really jacked this up pretty good, and Tony Clark was not so great himself. They were thinking long-term instead of short-term. And I do think the when and where thing, I mean, I understand what the players were trying to do. I also understand that there are some owners out there, and I don't agree with it, that probably didn't want a season to happen to begin with.
Oh, yeah, that's a good handful of them.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But needless to say, here we are, and we can actually talk about product on the field hopefully soon. I don't know how they're going to get everybody here. I mean, there are so many players that are out of the country. Think about the amount of players in the Dominican and Venezuela and places everywhere. How are these guys going to get back into the country? It's got to be commercial. I mean, private jets, obviously. But think about all the expense that's going to be to get all these guys back in, and then they're going to obviously. Are you just going to let, let's say, I want to say that Frankie is down in the Dominican. Or not Frankie. J-Ram is down in the Dominican. I feel like I saw that on his Instagram. I'm just going to use this as an example. Doesn't he have to quarantine for 14 days when he gets back into the States? I mean, isn't that like the rule?
I don't know. But do we know anything about this virus? Do we have any plan in place? I mean, this country. All right, I got to cut.
Come on, let's
focus.
Yes, focus. No, but in all seriousness, there's still a lot of hoops to jump through, and I'm going to guess that every single team on day one is going to have a minimum of 5 people test positive. I just feel like there's no possible way that everyone's just going to show up and be a negative test. That's pipe dream, in my opinion. So and what's a lot to work out.
Right, and what's the plan? Okay, so let's say the Indians are playing, like you said, they're on the road in Detroit. They obviously have to be in a hotel. They obviously have to get from the stadium after the games back to the hotel. I don't know where they're, sometimes they stay in Birmingham at the Townsend. Are they going to bus and go back up into the suburbs? Are they going to be close by?
What about letting these guys out for dinner?
Right.
How are they going to control a bunch of players who are used to being on the road and going out every night? And basically you have to tell them, for the good of the team, suck it up for 3 months, and you're going to live in your hotel room, and you're going to eat in your hotel room, and the only place you're going to go is the ballpark and back. I mean, yeah, that's all well and good, and these guys might say that they're going to do that, but you and I both know that getting 100% compliance on that is never going to happen.
Well, and if you're, hold on.
It only takes one idiot to go into one crowded bar in Florida and infect the rest of the team.
Well, here's the other thing. If you're the San Diego Padres and you have to play in your division, you have to make 2 trips to Arizona to play the Diamondbacks, or one. I think it's 10 games per team. You know, there's so I don't know if you're playing 2 4-game series. I don't know what you're doing, but who wants to go right now and play in Arizona? Phoenix is a cesspool right now for COVID, or a hot spot. Excuse me. Same with playing the Marlins or the Rays. I mean, Florida right now is a dumpster fire.
Well, Los Angeles is too. LA County is, they have the biggest number of cases going right now. So I don't know. I haven't seen, they haven't announced the schedule yet. I know that, so for those who are listening, that one of the things they said was each team is going to play 60 games, obviously, 40 games within your division.
Right.
And then 20 games interleague, which is with the other Central or other East or other West division. So the Indians then, by proxy, will play the Brewers, Pirates, Cubs, Cardinals, and Reds, each 10 times. Now, is that going to be 5 and 5? Is that what they're going to do? Are these series going to be 3 games and 2 games? Is it going to be, to me, it would make sense. If they're going to do that, you want to cut down on travel. You play one game, 1 week, Monday through Friday, 5 games in Chicago against the Cubs. And then the Cubs would be here for 5, right? I mean,
No. Wait.
Would not make sense.
You're playing within your division 10 times.
Right, I know that.
So that's 4.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that's 40 games. So there's only.
And then I'm sorry. And then it's 5 against the other.
5 against the other.
But I'm saying, wouldn't you do it just over a 2-week thing? You're not going to cut down on travel. Wouldn't you do like a 5? You'd only go and visit Minnesota once and play 5 games there. And then they play 5 games in Cleveland once rather than the travel. Right?
That's why I don't know why they're playing. That's why the number 60 is such a weird one to me. To me, shouldn't it be like 66? But again, I know that it's all dollars and cents.
Right, because if we have to play 3 and 2 against, the Reds, for example, who gets 3 at home and who gets 2 on the road, and I mean, how are they figuring this out? I'm like dying to see what the schedule is going to look like. I did see this. The Indians, based on last year's record, the Indians and the Twins have the 2 easiest schedules in the majors.
Really?
Yes. And the 3 hardest schedules were the Marlins, Blue Jays, and Orioles. Like, talk about the Orioles, actually.
There's going to be so many things that are going to be so confusing to so many people, and that's where baseball just can't get out of their own way. The NBA put out this, they talked about the bubble. They set everything up. They were very transparent about it. Adam Silver.
Real leadership.
What's that?
It's because they have real leadership.
Right. And even the NHL to an extent, although they're a little bit late right now and trying to tell everybody where they're going. But baseball, you're right. It's so screwed up. But we're all excited because we need something. I mean, we've gone months without any kind of sports. And look, I get it. The NASCAR people are happy. NASCAR's back, golf back to an extent. The people that love Bundesliga soccer, that's great. But the big boys are coming back. And whether people are turned off or not by baseball, this is an opportunity for MLB to try to make up for what has been just awful negotiations, terrible PR. You got former, Aubrey Huff and Kurt Schilling on Twitter, and I guess Schilling's Twitter's gone now.
And Trevor Bauer, the 3 of them.
I mean, it's just, it's a bad look. It's a bad look all around.
Terrible. Well, okay, so I just looked this up again. So the interleague schedule looks like this. So it's a total of 20 interleague games versus the division. 6 go against your quote-unquote rival. So the Indians' rival is
the Reds. Yeah.
Okay, so that would leave then 14 games, and it says has yet to be finalized about how the 14 games are expected to be involving each team playing 2 interleague opponents 3 times apiece, and the other 2 clubs 4 times apiece.
Right.
So yeah, okay, so there's that. Yeah, that's interesting. But I don't know. Yeah, and so this whole thing's going to be very interesting. So they also, another thing about the schedule, while we're on the schedule portion of this conversation, at the beginning of when they were trying to figure this out, they figured, we're going to play a lot of doubleheaders. So doubleheaders are not happening. There will not be any doubleheaders. And it said, I know that with games that would be like rained out or, whatever it might be, it said with a handful of off days, there's only, so in a 9-week season, basically every postponement would have to be made up as a part of a doubleheader. So scheduled doubleheaders would have actually limited the ability to reschedule those postponed games. So that's one of the reasons the schedule was laid out with 0 doubleheaders when they came up to it.
Well, they should be playing a ton of day games no matter what day it is.
Yes.
Wednesday afternoon, Thursday afternoon.
I bet they will. Because it doesn't matter now. With no fans, who cares?
Right.
Exactly. I mean, I know they're going to want to have it on for TV, but, to me, every series, if you're doing a 5-game series, it's probably got to be 3 and 2, 2-day games just in case of rain, and then, 3 night games just for television's sake. But who knows what they're going to do? I mean, truly, we have no clue how they're going to do it. We don't.
Truly, who has a minor league system?
Here's the other question I have, and I don't know if you know the answer to this. So
service time?
Well, no, sir. This is about the schedule. So think about all the games that get rained out because they're not rained out, but there's a suspended game. They get rained out before the 5th inning, a rain out. So I think this, if I read this correctly, any game that starts but then's stopped by rain, doesn't matter what inning it is, it's going to be picked up right where they left off, which is I guess it's to avoid long rain delays, So
yeah.
Instead of being at the park for 3 hours, so at least they got. I think they've thought of most of these things, but I don't know the extra innings thing that you want to talk about that.
It's
beyond.
This is what is this, the 6th grade? I mean, give me a break. I mean, we want to avoid long and 15-inning games, and I get that. Well, first of all, if you're not going to have any minor leagues, and you're going to have a rosters that start at least at spring training with 60 guys, I'm assuming that you're going to have these taxi squads.
Yes, they say 30-man taxi squad.
Right. So you have 60 play, but you're going to have an extra 30 guys to choose from that you can put on this taxi squad all summer because there's not going to be minor leagues.
It's going to be like active, like NFL, inactive list.
Right. And then you could take some guys on the road. But again, if you're playing a weekend series with the White Sox and you play a game on Friday night and then you test all your players daily. And they wake up Saturday morning, you test some guys before a day game, and half of them have it, then how are you going to get enough guys from wherever they are? Is the taxi squad sitting in Cleveland waiting to then hop on a bus and get to Chicago? How do you do that? Do you move the game to the night and go, all right, get these guys on the bus, these guys all... But where are they? Are they all at a different place?
Right.
I mean,
are they at the hotel?
If you have 15 guys, or do you say, well, 10 tested positive, but they all are asymptomatic, but they're going to still play. But you don't want them being carriers and being on first base and having being tagged out and touched by the other team. This is just so crazy.
Right. And then I didn't see anything about they had mentioned in early previous plans something about the players in the dugouts and where they would be sitting and would they be sitting in the stands, that whole thing. I mean, who knows? I didn't see anything about that.
No, I mean, my guess is if they've been tested and then they're together enough that it's almost like they've been around their family to the point where they're going to be okay.
You got masks on? You're gonna have masks on in the dugouts? I got to believe that you're putting on masks in the dugout.
I don't know. My stepson played travel baseball last weekend. Nobody had masks on. We were outside. We social
outside on
we social distanced. What about the games in Tampa? What about the games in
indoor stadiums? Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Rays shouldn't play in there. You should be outside.
Well, I know that MLB does reserve the right to move them to different states based on hotspots if they have to. I did read that as part of it.
It may end up, Todd, where and by the way, Dery Bros Tribecast, Matt and Todd with you here. You're right. We could get through half a season and they could pull the plug on this thing.
That would be terrible if they did that. Like, that would be terrible.
Oh yeah,
that would be terrible. And I know what your thoughts are on the DH, universal DH.
Go for it. Let's go. Let's do it.
I'm all for it. I've said this many times in this podcast and to you privately for the last 44 years. The stupidest thing in baseball is the only place in all of baseball at every level where a pitcher bats is in the National League, and nobody wants to have a big at bat come up with, one of your pitchers coming up, especially in interleague play, which is when the AL pitchers have to bat in NL Parks, the stupidest friggin' rule in the game. So thank God for that. I'm thrilled that you'll have universal DH.
And I also think that once National League fans watch it and see it, I don't think they're going to be sitting there going, oh, man, I missed the double switch, or, oh, man, we've got second and third and one out and the 9 spots up. And wow, we've actually got a real hitter coming up. I don't think fans are going to miss it once they have it. I know there are still the old schoolers out there, but look, 2020, this is the year to try everything. Now, that doesn't mean putting a runner on second base like this is 5th grade to try to get. That's stupid. But universal DH, expanded rosters. I know they're not doing expanded postseason, but I would have for this year, even though I'm as old school as they come. I don't think the entire tournament needs to be filled with teams. But this is now your chance to kind of mess with stuff a little bit. But the extra innings and putting a runner on second base to start an inning to speed it up, I just can't stand that. To me, they didn't earn being on the base. If a pitcher's cruising and all of a sudden does he have to give it? If he's pitching the last 3 innings, or maybe it's a long man who's in for, pitch the 8th, pitch the 9th in a 0-0 game, a 1-1 game, then he gets to the 10th. Is that an inherited runner? Is that an earned run? Because that guy didn't earn being there. You change the entire rule just because you get later in the game. That's stupid. That's dumb.
Yeah, I can't stand it. So in terms of roster size for the actual season when it starts, so they're going to start with a 30-man roster for 2 weeks. Then it's going to go down to 28 the next 2 weeks. So basically you'll have 28, 30 guys for a month, and then it goes down to 26, which is what the normal roster size will be. And then you got that taxi squad that you can pull from. The interesting thing in terms of teams like the Indians is, so a guy like Nolan Jones, your top prospect, who in terms of everybody gets their service time this year, you're going to put him on that 30-man taxi squad so he can be around and he can, take batting practice and be around and get used to, a little bit of major league life. But I don't think the Indians had any intention of using him this year because you don't want to start his clock, obviously. But there's going to be a lot of teams that have to make that decision because there's no minor league. Do you want these guys up? And you might end up having to start their clock because so many guys get sick. I mean,
you might not have a choice.
Like you don't have, you're not going to have the situation where it's going to be, hey, what's one of these scrubs that the Indians like minor like Andrew Velasquez? Is he? I can't remember. Did they DFA him?
I think so, but knowing them, they'll bring him back.
so right. But I'm saying, like,
Eric Stamets is going to be back.
That's what I'm saying. Like, those guys aren't going to be playing anywhere in AAA to be pulled from. So, then and they're not on rosters currently. So, you wonder. I mean, is the 60-man taxi squad the same as the 40-man roster this year? I don't know that either.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So,
but the bottom line is, Well, we'll also know pretty quickly if this franchise wants to go for it because, like you said, you
don't have a choice. In a 60-game season, you don't have a choice.
No, but if they decide to sign a bunch of middling free agent guys that are off the street right now that don't have jobs yet, and there are guys like that, and you mentioned the names like the Velasquez's of the world or Stamets or any of these people that might not have a team or go to a spring training at one of the ballparks and get let go, you never know. You're going
to need bodies, though. You know what I mean? At that point, it's just about bodies. I'm surprised that Puig hasn't signed anywhere yet. I still can't believe he's without a team.
Well, according to Bob DiBiasio and Jim Rosenhaus, Tito doesn't want him. So, hey, you could get him for a song. You can get him for a song now, as they say.
I know. You know what's so interesting is, like, we've been out for so long. Like, I forgot Cesar Hernandez is our second baseman and Domingo Santana's on the team. Right? Like, did you even like it's just
No, I had no recollection about Domingo. I didn't even think about that because we haven't even looked at the roster. We haven't even talked about it. But the other thing too is
here's another thing I want to know about that I don't know. So Emmanuel Clase got an 80-game suspension, but this year has been cut in half. Does this mean next year he's got to sit out the first 20?
Yep. Oh yeah.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah, it is, but he's an idiot.
Although then again, he did cheat.
Yeah. If we cut down on the tests, we'll have less positive results.
That's right. Good point.
I think the way that we need to beat obesity in this country is to stop weighing people.
There you go. Perfect. I'm with you on that one. Unbelievable.
Oh, truly. Man! All right, tell me about Dr. Ben. I got a text message the other day. Somebody must have said, because I'm filling in on 92.3 The Fan on Friday and the next Friday.
I thought it was tomorrow.
I'm not on tomorrow now. I'm not on Thursday now. I'm on Friday with Baskin, and then I'm solo on July 3rd in the morning, 7 to 11. Right. So tune in, everybody. But I got a text from Dr. Ben. He's like, Center for Advanced Dentistry and 92.3 The Fan. I don't know how he knew that.
Copied and pasted that text because I got that same exact. Actually, Dr. Ben, our mother, went in to see Dr. Ben Hornsey at the Center for Advanced Dentistry this week. And she said, this is the quote. She said, Todd, he's really got state-of-the-art equipment in there. She said he's got. You go in, you park in the parking lot, you call them when you're there. They either text or call you back and say, we're ready for you. There's no one in the waiting room. You go right into your own little pod area. Everyone's masked up, face shields, new air filtration system inside the Center for Advanced Dentistry. Yeah.
That's impressive.
And Mom said, I'm very skittish going into doctor's offices these days, but I could not have been more relaxed. And they took such great care of her, and she said it was great. So could have had Mom on for the testimonial. We should have had Mom do the live read. The Center for Advanced Dentistry. So if you want, I know everybody in the east side of Cleveland. People are starting to get out a little bit more. Obviously, we want you to be safe and wear masks everywhere you go. But you want to go get your teeth cleaned. The Center for Advanced Dentistry, check them out, cfad.net, and on Twitter @CFADBeachwood. Dr. Ben is a terrific guy, big Cleveland sports fan, and he takes great care of myself and my mother and other members of our family. So check them out, cfad.net, and @CFADBeachwood on Twitter. Check them out.
All right, Matt Dery, Todd Dery, it is the Dery Brothers Tribecast, brought to you by our friends at waitingfornextyear.com. Todd just mentioned the Center for Advanced Dentistry. We're going to get baseball going July 23rd or July 24th. So we'll see when the schedule comes out. I saw some of the odds for the World Series, Todd. I saw, it's the usual suspects. The Dodgers and Yankees at the top. I think the Indians were, 30-1 to win it all. The Indians have a lot of pitching, and if it comes down to this, and look, Two things that I really like about our chances: the pitching, starting pitching, and the manager. Because in this 60-game hell that this could end up being, and every game mattering, and you can't have a bad week, you can't have a bad month. Tito's always got something cooking. He does. And I think that having a guy like that on your side in this chaos that will be this short season is a huge advantage for the Indians.
I agree. Obviously it's not his in-game managing that is the reason why he's great. I think we've all established that there are plenty of things about his in-game managing that sometimes aggravate us. But when it comes down to working those guys in the clubhouse and getting people motivated, and he's the ultimate players manager. They all seem to love him. Have you ever heard a story about a player saying, you know what, I played for Francona, that guy sucked? Like, you just don't hear that. These guys all swear by him. So in a time like this when it's so different and everybody's flying blind, having a respected leader like him is definitely something that plays in the Indians' favor. Whether or not that's going to translate to wins and losses is something to be found out this year, because this year is going to be so different this season is going to be so different than every other one. But listen, I'm thrilled that Tito is captaining the SS Dolan going into a something like this. That's for sure. That is for sure. And I think that he has really started to realize the pitching aspect of it. He's become better on, in terms of, I think that the piggybacking thing is something that he has embraced a little bit more. He's been willing to go with the younger arms, whereas in years past, other Indians teams would have been like, let's sign Sean Markham and give him a shot.
What a random name you just pulled out of your ass there.
Every year it was like there was one of those guys who, Bruce Chen. Let's give Bruce Chen a shot. They're not doing that anymore. Now it's actually, let's give the young guys some options.
Was Bruce Chen on our team? Didn't he get lit up so bad?
Bruce Chen, one start, Bruce Chen got destroyed.
But then he came out of the bullpen, didn't he, a couple times?
I think he pitched one game for the Indians.
Really?
And it was a start, and he got destroyed. You talk, I'll Google it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I'm thinking of somebody else, but we also had somebody that I can remember toward the end of their career, similar to him, that just came in and couldn't do anything, and maybe they started him one.
Was it Jason Johnson?
I remember Jason Johnson, but Jason Johnson started more than one game. The former Oriole, I do remember him.
He was terrible.
Terrible.
What about Jason Hockamy?
Who was the guy that pitched in Detroit he pitched in that game against the Yankees that Cody Allen blew, but he pitched earlier in the game. It was pretty recently. He was with the Rangers, and he was really good as a setup guy. Alexi Ogando. Was that last year?
Yeah, Alexi Ogando.
Or 2 years ago.
It was during that season when we were throwing like 85 guys up against the wall and seeing if they could stick. It was actually 2017 or 2018. It was the season that was like, hey, let's bring up Ogando and let's throw him out there in the tie game in the 8th against the Yankees
in New York.
In New York on a Friday night. Or, hey, Evan Marshall, he's up from Columbus. We're up by 1 run against the Astros. Let's throw him out there in the 8th. It was that same season. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. By the way, the over-under for the Indians for wins, do you want to make a wager? Do you want to guess what it would be?
You've seen over-unders for a 60-game schedule?
I have. I have them right in front of me.
Oh, my God. I'm over-under? I'm going to go with 37.5.
No, the Indians are 32.5.
Okay, so
Dodgers 38.5, Yankees 38.5, Astros 35.5, Twins 34.5.
What's the Yankees again?
38.5.
I mean, I got to go way over on the Yankees. The Yankees won't go 40-20?
Astros, Twins, Braves 33.5, A's 33.5, Rays 33.5, Nationals 33.5, and then us and the Mets and Cardinals tied at 32.5.
Bruce Chen made 2 starts. It was the last 2 starts of his career in 2018.
That was courtesy of betonline.ag, by the way. And lowest team, Orioles 21.5 and the Tigers 21.5. See, anything's possible. Anything's possible. You just,
of course.
Now, are the Tigers going to win it all? No. They're going to make the playoffs? No. But you're right. I mean, whoever stays the healthiest, whoever has the most major league body. I mean, there could be 10 guys testing positive just due to being around each other. Just one guy being, we've seen it. Just, it's crazy.
Do you know how many years Bruce Chen pitched in the majors?
We're back on this. 7? 8?
17.
What?
17.
Oh, yeah, because he was with the Royals for a while, right?
He was 21 in 1998 with the Braves.
Yeah.
When he came up.
Okay.
So he pitched 6 years with the Royals, 3 with the Braves, 3 with Baltimore, 2 with the Mets, 2 with the Phillies, 1 with Boston, 1 with Texas, 1 with Cleveland, 1 with Cincinnati, 1 with Montreal, and 1 with Houston.
Wow.
That
is crazy. I don't know how we got on that action, but that's pretty sweet.
Well, no, I had to look it up. I had to Google how many games he pitched for the Indians. The answer was 2.
So Hammy's not going on the road. That's going to be a bummer. That's a bummer.
It sounds like they're doing them from the studio at Progressive Sheet.
There will be no road TV either. I mean, there will be, but they're going to do it all from another place. There will be no road announcers anywhere.
Right. It's going to be so bizarre.
It is.
How are these players not going to hear Tom Hamilton calling the game? Do you know what I mean?
At home, I would assume it's going to be crowd noise played over the loudspeaker or something. I would assume, or organ, something
crowd noise?
Piped in something. Because if you're watching the game on TV, and are they going to have the delay with the audio like they do in the NBA Finals, where if a guy dunks on a guy and talks trash under the basket, and it gets bleeped out, and you can hear the pauses because they're bleeping it out? I mean, they can have that delay for all the regional sports networks, because what if one dugout's yelling at another dugout? You're going to be able to hear everything unless you've got noise in the background.
We can hear Paul Molitor yelling at J-Ram.
Oh, God. What a dickhead.
Oh, what a red ass. The guy was the worst.
That's too good. So we'll see how this goes, man. I to sit here and have predictions, it's difficult because, like you said, I mean the Nationals after 60 games last year were like 27-33, and they won the whole thing.
19-31 was the record they always talk about with the Nationals. They started 19-31, and then they won the World Series.
Crazy.
And that's why this season is going to be so messed up. I mean, the old adage in baseball is that it takes 50 games to know what kind of team you think you have. And the season's 60 games long.
Right. I mean, what if we get the Jose Ramirez from the last couple of years where he starts off slow? It's not just going to be a slow start. It's going to be the entire season because the season's going to be over.
I was looking at my old tweets. Each day I got this time hop, but it goes back to my old tweets. I think even as of last week, it was me going, I don't know what happened to J-Ram, but they might have to send him to the minors to find himself. No joke. And so, and that's in June. Now, he really didn't turn it up until the second half last year.
Again, we're also not starting in March when it's freezing. I mean, it's
you mean they'll start hitting better when the weather gets warm?
Well, that's always good. What about the dimensions at Comerica Park? They need to bring the fences in, but man, it's
get Lynn on the horn.
What am I going to do when the Indians are here in Detroit? Can I get in? Can I sneak in? I'll
sneak in.
Would that be the greatest move ever?
Can you get a because of your status as the driver of one of the top 25 podcasts in Cleveland?
I highly doubt it.
You can get a little.
I highly doubt
credential.
Wouldn't it? I mean, to me, it's Hoynes, Zach, and Mandy, and that's probably it. That's probably all they're letting in there.
Yeah, and I don't even know how they're going to let these. I mean, how are they going to do the media availability? Not that most people don't care, but
they're going to have a room. They're going to have there's going to be no open clubhouse. There's going to be a room with a microphone, and the reporters will have to stand back, and the ones that usually use their phones to record and throw them up on the table, that's done. They're going to have to stand by a speaker and record it that way, or to make sure you're getting the quote that way. But yeah, the days of scrums and standing by folks is over. So,
you mean I can't hold a microphone in front of Mike McFarland's face anymore?
No. Nor can I be cursed out by Robert Fick in his towel.
The good old days. That's good stuff.
I just want to win, man. And here's the other thing. And I'll talk about this with Basket on Friday on the Fan. But I mean, once this thing starts, I'm all in. This asterisk stuff. If people were, and I saw Hayden Grove tweeted this out today. This would be just so Cleveland, and it would be so Indians to win it this year.
It's an asterisk for any other team that wins except for yours.
Except
what I mean?
Right.
It's just like Dad used to say about Bill Laimbeer. He's a total asshole for everybody, but if you're a Pistons fan, he's your asshole.
Oh, yeah, it's Albert Bell, same thing. We defended him forever.
Of course.
The Vigna hit, oh my gosh, the defending of him in our town, and then everybody else going, did he need to clobber this guy and send him flying like that? What a jerk.
I showed that to the kids like 2 weeks ago. They loved it.
Right.
They were like, oh my God, can't believe that.
Right. But our thing was, if you're in the base path, you're, that's what you get. It's like, geez.
Exactly.
But,
right.
I think that, let's say they start slow, and let's say like a bad team like the Royals is winning, and we're going to be saying that. We're going to be going, this season sucks. This is a joke. All these guys got COVID. This guy got a hamstring. This guy got and that's the other thing. All we're talking about is sickness. But there's going to be a lot of guys hurt because they just, other than some inter-squad games, they're not going to be playing spring training games.
Nope.
Are they going to go full throttle and intra-squad in front of nobody?
Well,
that's going to take some advantage. That's going to take some.
Play each other. Well, maybe what am I talking about? They're all going to the cities.
Yeah, they're not going out to Florida.
Yeah,
Arizona.
They're not going to Arizona. What am I talking about? Yeah,
I know.
I guess they are going to do inter-squad scrimmages, but isn't that going to be? Although, if you think about it, and it's really just the pitchers versus the hitters that really matter. So, if you're Mike Clevenger and Shane Bieber, yeah, you get to face Frankie every day, and you get to face J-Ram every day, and so that's actually not that big of a deal. But where it is a big deal is you just can't simulate ramping up a game, and there's going to be no games except for pitching to your own guys, and then okay, here we are, July 23rd, another team's here. You better ramp it up immediately. It's going to be bizarre. That's why the NBA has these 8 games leading up to their playoffs, because they got to do some sort of a ramp up.
Yep. No, you got to get a feel for everything, and I just think it's going to be weird for everybody. Like you said, it's probably going to be wide open, but like I said before, I think with our manager and we haven't even talked about the August 31st trade deadline.
Let's save that for another time, because I want to be all positive in terms of baseball's back, because once I get into that, no one's going to like what I have to say.
I don't blame you. All right, dude, that was fun. We're back. We're ready to roll, and now we wait another month. But the biggest thing now is every day refreshing Twitter to see who tested positive in these inter-squad games. Hopefully, knock on wood, guys stay healthy. You're running out of ground ball in an inter-squad game because Tito's going to tell you, try to play hard to get your legs under you. But what if you twist an ankle? What if so many things that could happen.
That's for sure. It's going to be interesting. I just, as I said at the beginning, I'll say it again. I will believe that this actually happens on July 24th when players are actually on the field. I still don't believe it's going to happen.
You may be right. I don't think you can say anything is 100% anymore right now.
Yep.
Oh man, I just got a notification. The Cork Memorial League, my fantasy league, they're talking about doing a season. What do I do about that?
You got to do it.
No, I'm going to. But
funny. 2 minutes ago, I was just thinking about how the normal league I'm in was kind of like disbanding because there wasn't going to be a season, and I had conversations with a few people about doing it, from our league, and there was like 4 or 5 guys, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to round up, 2 or 3 more, get an 18 league going. Who cares? Hey, let's do it. If you want a team, you can be in.
I'm going to stick with the
I know, NL only.
Team D's. Oh, yeah. We'll see how we made the playoffs last year. We'll see how it goes. All right, man. This was a lot of fun.
It was a pleasure talking actual baseball and talking about that we're going to, potentially have a season and not just speculating on what's going to happen. So I look forward to doing more of these where we can actually talk about, how come, Franmil Reyes is struggling so much, or how come Frankie is so great and we're going to have to trade him. I love those conversations.
That's right. At least it's baseball and sports. It's been such a rough, obviously, few months for just about everybody. All right, that'll do it for us. WaitingForNextYear.com's another edition of the Dery Brothers Tribecast. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple or iTunes. Catch us, of course, on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, courtesy of our friend also, Dr. Ben Hornstein, the Center for Advanced Dentistry. We'll talk to you again soon.